What's going on, people? Your boy, Man Mike here with a impromptu live show. Yeah, impromptu live show. Happy Sunday to everybody. Happy Resurrection Day to everybody. Continued blessings and all. Quite frankly, just want to kind of set up today's show. Today on the regulators, with my boy Magnus leading the leading the conversation when it come down to AJ Terrell. All right. What up, Cub? Raymond Elder, what's going on, people? Smooth C. Like I said, I won't be on long. I just want to kind of set up today's show for the regulators that's going to come at 11 a.m. every Sunday. D. Coleman, old chicken hauler. Look, motherfucker, you better bring my chicken, goddammit. I'm still mad as hell. All right, every time I look at your damn name, I get hungry. All right, so I'm gonna need some goddamn chicken somewhere. You a chicken hauler? I need some chicken. Baked, fried, I don't care what it is. All right, motherfucker don't even got to cook. I need some chicken, goddammit. But like I said, man, just want to kind of set up today's show, man. This is something that I've been talking about for quite some time, and it's interesting that the Tory McElhaney wrote a story on this with the lead editor at the Atlanta Falcons, Scott Bear. Trey, what's good? I hope y'all got something cooking up. I'm gonna need y'all to get on it, Trey. But this is something that I've been talking about for quite some time. There's a huge decision to make, a big decision to be made. Big Ant, Jeberaeel Bellamy, what's good? Atlanta versus yeah. Excuse me. But there's a huge decision to be made. Go ahead, hit that like button before you go. But there's a big decision to be made in regards to AJ Terrell and whether or not the Atlanta Falcons are in a position to give him what the market suggests, and that's around $17 to $20 million. All right. And you got a guy like Jerry Sneed that get one of the biggest contracts for DBs, you know, that like it puts a lot of pressure on a lot of teams, and the Atlanta Falcons are included. And this is where AFN, the Atlanta Falcons Nation, again hosted by Magnus, are going to give their opinions on this. I think this is incredibly interesting. That I want you guys to head over to again. I don't know if it's a good thing that the Falcons are being quiet about it. They will not answer questions. And quite frankly, I'm not exactly sure if a D-led, you know, these guys have even asked questions about whether or not AJ Terrell contract will be, you know, they will extend AJ. I do know that the Falcons, they do not want to talk about it, talk about these matters. I believe they did say that, but I think this is a situation where the Atlanta Falcons, they have to make a decision, you know. I don't know about quickly. Like me personally, I wouldn't want them to make a quick decision on this, because this is a big It's a big time decision. All right. And I think when you have money, again, with a Chris Lindstrom, that's going to be getting paid close to $20 million a year. Then you have Jake Matthews, Grady Jarrett. Obviously, with G. Bates, his contract is going to be going down a little bit. I think it's going down to like $23 to $18 million. There's going to be a huge decision to be made in regards to this particular matter. And I think it's important for fans to be patient in this situation, because this, in my opinion, this is a do or die situation for this Atlanta Falcons team. I know a lot of people have been looking at me like, bro, we just gave $40 million to a quarterback. How can you, how can you say that? Well, because when you have a quarterback, you're paying a lot of money to. And granted that this season, it's going to be about $20 million on the salary cap. So I think next year is really where the money is going to be. The money is really going to be a focus. It's huge. All right. I think it's really, it's a big decision. And you have a guy like Kyle Pitts, at some point you're going to have to look at him and say, all right, we have to figure out like where we're going to kind of disperse and throw some money here and there. I think you got to start looking at Kyle Pitts. You got to look at being that this year, also with Tyler Algier, he's the guy that you're gonna have to focus on. And then, quite frankly, being that we still have Caleb McGarry, for the most part, his contract is team friendly, but that's another contract you're going to have to look at and say, all right, is he really our guy? Do we want to keep him for the remainder of his contract? He's a quality right tackle, one of the best right tackles in the league, obviously. But when you look at it, man, this is a huge situation. I think this is probably the most. I honestly think this is a do or die situation for the Atlanta Falcons. At this point, they have to decide whether or not AJ Terrell is good for this particular team, and in regards to their salary cap. Like I said, AJ Terrell, you look at his worth, his value as a corner. He definitely has tremendous value in his coverage skills. He's one of the better coverage corners in the entire league. No one can debate whether he's a good cover guy. All right. He plays in man. He plays in zone. He plays off coverage. He tackles extremely well for a guy, for a corner. Like I said, I would rather him not lead with his head and have those type of issues as far as his concussions and whatnot. He does, tend to miss a few games, been a little bit reckless, and, in regards to his concussions. So it's like I would rather him not. But again, that's the game of football. But it is a question mark on whether or not you want to pay that type of money for a guy that has had concussions at the wrong time. If you like to be honest, man, I would much rather for my corners to play every single game if I'm going to pay $20 million. And if he's missing 1, 2, 3 games because of a concussion, that's something the Falcons, you have to take that into consideration. And I think looking at this situation with AJ Terrell, a lot of teams, D. Coleman, I see, but you looking at this, man, it's like this is something that you really have to, you have to be patient with this particular issue, because like I said, this is a do or die situation for this Atlanta Falcons team, and if they decide that he is worth it, the consequences are going to be I wouldn't necessarily say severe, but this is something that's going to have repercussions. Either someone on the defensive line, offensive line, You sign AJ Terrell. Let's just say you sign AJ Terrell to a big contract. Let's say you give him the $20 million. Where is that money going to come from? My opinion is going to come from two places. It's going to come from one, because at some point you have to figure out if Drew Dalman is that guy. All right. So the Falcons, you got to look at two things in the draft right now. Drew Dalman. At some point, you're going to have to pay him. And in my opinion, he's going to get paid somewhere between $10 to $15 million at center. So the Falcons are going to have to focus on whether or not Drew Dalman is that guy that they want. Will they draft a guy at that center position? And two, the running back position, and Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier, with his ability, and he's already rushed for 1,000 yards. Now I look at giving him anywhere from $8 to $12 million at running back. So if the Falcons decide that they are going to give AJ Terrell that money, I think those are the two positions that's going to be directly they're going to be directly modified and directly hit. But we're going to lose one, if not both of those guys. So this year's draft for the Atlanta Falcons is going to be extremely, it's going to be extremely important, and it's going to be a huge tell, because if the Falcons end up drafting the DB, a corner, we already know that the Falcons aren't necessarily looking to pay AJ Terrell top dollar. All right, I think that's. It's two things that can happen in this particular draft that I want everybody to focus on. And that's one, the Falcons drafts a corner, whether they trade down a couple of spots down from that A spot, pick up a few more picks, and then use those picks to trade back up into the first round and get a defensive guy. If these things happen, the Atlanta Falcons will not pay AJ Terrell. I can say that in all confidence. All right, I don't make a lot of bold predictions and whatnot, but this is my bold predictions. If the Atlanta Falcons trade down, whether it's from 8 to 12 or 8 to 15, they're thinking about taking a DB. And two, if they trade down, they pick up a few more picks. The Atlanta Falcons are going to trade back up into the first round and get their rusher. Whoever that rusher is, I believe this will happen. And this is something that, the Falcons have to make that decision. But like I said, all these scenarios that I'm looking at coming into this draft, and like I said, he's definitely one of the better technicians at that position. AJ Jeberaeel, like I said, there's nothing wrong with his coverage skills. There's nothing wrong with his ability to play man, tackle. The dude is a complete he's a complete cornerback. The only issue and concern for me, and one of the reasons why I state that he cannot, and the Falcons can't give him $20 million, if the Falcons can find some way to get him money, the salary cap somewhere around $16 million, I think that's a huge win for the Atlanta Falcons. And I believe AJ wants to be here. The team likes him, the fan like him. I honestly believe that he loves Atlanta. Actually, he's from here, and like I said, it just makes sense. I do want him here. But if he and his agent aren't looking for discounts, well, again, the scenario that I just just told you guys, this is something that will happen. The Falcons will find a DB to replace him, and they will bring in and draft an edge or a couple of edges to make up for the lack of covered guys in the secondary. All right, and like I said, for me, in my opinion, when you have an elite safety like that and a Jesse Bates, I think you can take those chances with those particular chances on quote unquote trading or allowing AJ to walk. you end up getting a compensation pick, whatever the case may be. But I think you can take those chances if you draft a couple of edge guys, get more help up front, bring back a guy like Calais Campbell, something that the Falcons could quite possibly be looking into. And like I said before, sometimes it just comes down to business. This is no shot at AJ Terrell, but he's one of those guys. He does lack the ability to get toes. He's a guy, he doesn't get a lot of interceptions. Let's keep that real. He does not get a lot of interceptions. He's not that he's very expensive. He needs more interceptions. They're between 16 and yeah. Like I said, I think I think if the Falcons could find a way to structure his contract around 16, 17 at the most, I think that's a huge win for not only AJ, but the Atlanta Falcons. Because like I said, I think he really wants to be here. I think he's a terrific talent. But at this moment and where the Atlanta Falcons, they're in a I wouldn't say desperate, but they're in a situation where you just fired your head coach. You just traded away Des Ridder. You got a veteran quarterback. Okay, this is why I say this is a do or die situation, because you brought in a veteran quarterback. We know for sure that he wants to play at the very least 2 years. So when you have a quarterback that wants to play for at the very least 2 years, after those 2 years, you're going to be quite possibly looking for another quarterback. So if you pay a guy like AJ Terrell and you are forced to look for another quarterback, guess what? Kyle Pitts may not be that quarterback guy, the quarterback's favorite talent, or Drake London may not be. Again, these are what ifs, but these are the things that you have to take in consideration, because the quarterback that we may bring in, it may take him time to kind of find his groove with whatever receiver that they bring in. So it's going to be a transition. So if that's the case, if you have to bring in even more wide receivers, another style, a particular style of tight end, then Kyle Pitts, you may have to move on from Kyle Pitts. You may have to move on from Drake London. And like I said, at the end of the day, there's no guarantee that one, Kirk Cousins is going to play all 4 years of his contract, and there's no guarantee that Kyle Pitts is going to be the Kyle Pitts that we all hope that he can. So paying a guy like AJ Terrell $20 million to be a guy that can cover, but he doesn't get picks, that's a huge risk. The Falcons are going to need money. And you cannot continue to year after year hope and pray that you keep bringing in these Bud Duprees, these Lorenzo Carter for 1-2 years, and hope for these guys to have a big season. You can't continue to hope. You cannot continue to hope to bring in these guys. And like I said, these are the things you have to take in consideration in regards to this Atlanta Falcons team, because like I said, they're in a unique situation with this veteran quarterback. I really believe that Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy we need out of our quarterback position to continuously put up the numbers, to be able to put up the numbers and be consistent, get 35 to 4,000 yards. I think he'll be able to do that. He stay healthy. And like it, these are the situations that you have to take in consideration. All right, you have to take this in consideration. It's not so much an indictment on AJ Terrell and whether or not the Falcons or the fans want him. It's what's best for the team. And I think when you have so many good players on the roster, giving a contract to an AJ Terrell makes it so difficult. It really makes it so difficult because now the Atlanta Falcons are it could quite possibly mean that he's a huge locker room presence, and the locker room may feel some type of way because they did not pay AJ Terrell. We don't know what these things is. So this is a delicate situation with the Atlanta Falcons because AJ Terrell might be their guy. They love him, inside the locker room and outside. But if the Atlanta Falcons pay him $20 million, there's going to be consequences and repercussions. So again, for those who just came in, and again, this is me kind of setting up the show today, right after this, in about 10 minutes or so, the AFN, the regulators are going to be going live to kind of give their thoughts on this particular topic, on AJ Terrell and whether or not he's going to be here for the Atlanta Falcons. But the Atlanta Falcons said they see AJ Terrell. Obviously, they value him as a player, but they will not talk about his contract. They will not answer any questions about it. So it's up to us, extension of the media, to speak on this matter. Is AJ Terrell that guy? But like I said, this is no indictment on his particular, on his skill set, because I believe that AJ Terrell is a damn good corner. I think he is very good. I don't believe in throwing that elite word out. Too many people use that elite word way too much for guys that have not shown the ability or shown consistent, have been consistent to even no right to be called elite. I don't think there's an elite corner in the league, nor that I think it's possible because of the rules of the game. But like I said, that's a whole nother subject in itself. But like I said before, this is a do or die situation for the Atlanta Falcons, because when you have a DB guy like Raheem Morris, Jimmy Lake, Jerry Gray, all those guys are DB guys. All right. So this it scares me, to be honest. And in my humble opinion, I think the Falcons have already made that decision to quite possibly entertain the idea of trading away AJ Terrell. I think they love AJ. I think they want him. But when you have he and Jesse Bates have the same agent. This guy's trying to get paid. Okay? This guy's trying to get paid. So this is going to be a situation where AJ Terrell tells his agent that he's not necessarily worried about money, that he wants to come to Atlanta, he wants to be in Atlanta, and he wants to be able to get these guys, get his team a hometown discount. I think this is one of those situations where AJ has to do that. Because like I said, this is a delicate situation with this Atlanta Falcons. Because like I said, again, I'm gonna reiterate what I just said. With the Atlanta Falcons, they're in a situation where, yes, they do have a new head coach. Yes, they have a new offensive system, and Zach Robinson and his system. I think they're gonna be here for a while. At the very least 2 to 3 years, I think Zach Robinson is going to be here. And with that being said, they're going to want their guys in. These guys are going to want to. I think Raheem Morris is here for a while. I don't foresee the Falcons making any more changes at their head coach for at least 4 years. Okay, I think these guys are here, and they're going to be here to stay. So when it comes down to it, this is a situation where the Atlanta Falcons, they must be, and they have to be smart about this situation, not emotional. Because like I said, if the Atlanta Falcons sign AJ Terrell, and I appreciate everybody for joining us, hit that like button so all this video can get out to all the Atlanta Falcons fans, reach more Atlanta Falcons fans. So hit that like button for me, hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Again, it's Mad Mike Sports, where we ask questions. You guys ask the questions. I answer them in video form. Again, we got the regulators coming at 11 a.m. right after this particular show. So, again, man, this is one of those situations where the Atlanta Falcons, if they decide to move on from AJ Terrell, I think the Falcons will be fine. There's a ton of corners in this draft that I think that you can kind of groom. Will they ever be AJ Terrell as far as their coverage ability? Maybe not. Because like I said, I think AJ Terrell is the epitome. I think he's the upper echelon in regards to cover corners, complete corners in the league. But in this particular matter, I don't think the Falcons. Hey, B, how you doing, girl? I don't think the Atlanta Falcons are in a position where they can just decide, you know what, let's go spend money all willy-nilly. The Falcons have to be smart about how they spend it at this particular moment, because they don't have one thing on the team. And this one thing is going to be the difference on the Falcons being a Super Bowl contender or a team that's just going to make it to the playoffs. They need an edge rusher. They must get an edge rusher. If the Dallas Cowboys without Trayvon Diggs, like if they can make it without one of their top corners, the Falcons can too. All right, so like I said before, I don't think the Atlanta Falcons, I don't think the Falcons can afford to miss. I don't think the Atlanta Falcons can afford to miss an AJ to miss out on drafting a edge rusher, whether it be Dallas Turner, whether it be a Jared Verse, Latu. The Falcons cannot afford, in my opinion, if they want to work towards being a Super Bowl contender, and I'm thinking Super Bowl, and a lot of you guys are. I do not think the Falcons can afford to miss out on an edge rusher this year. Like I said, I don't think you can pass on to Dallas. I don't think you can. I don't think you can afford to pass on a Latu or Verse. All right, I just don't think it. I think it'd be the worst thing the Falcons could do at this point to, once again, pass on the edge rusher. Whether or not it works out, I don't think that matters at this point. The Falcons cannot afford to miss out on a edge rusher if you want to be a Super Bowl contender. They have to. They must. They cannot afford to continuously miss out on drafting defensive guys. All right, gotta add to that D line. You have to. You passed on Jordan Davis. We passed on a guy like Jalen Carter. Like, we continuously pass on guys. Falcons cannot win. You cannot continue to win if you passing on guys. Because I love Arnold Ebiketie. I think he's a pretty good pass rusher, but he hasn't reached that ceiling yet. So at this point, you must draft an edge guy. And like I said before, I love AJ Terrell, but I think if you add to the D-line, you continue to add to the trenches, I think this team could be a Super Bowl contender. But in order for them to be a Super Bowl contender, you have to build in the trenches. So again, you guys, if you have not already hit that like button, they will continue this conversation on the regulators, all right, on Atlanta Falcons Nation. Bird Dogs, what's good? Raheem uses all 4 picks by building his defense. Like I said, he says that he believes in trench play and drafting guys up front. So I'm going to hold him to that. I'm going to hold the Atlanta Falcons to that, because we can't continue to ask Bud Dupree, who hasn't signed with us. We can't continue to add Calais Campbell to lead this defense line. We can't keep asking these older guys who has miles on them, who have injuries is concerned. We can't continue to pass on guys again, like a Jalen Carter, like a Jordan Day. Like, we can't continue to pass on these guys and then ask these older guys to lead us. All right, Grady Jarrett's coming off a torn ACL. We don't know how he's gonna bounce back. I think he's a warrior. He'll bounce back, but there's no 100% guarantee that Grady's gonna return as Grady Jarrett. So you have to add talent to that room. So again, if you guys have not already, hit that like button right here, Mad Mike Sports. Another thing, Mad Mike Network. We got Sam, OG, Chauncey. They do their breakdowns, Hawks, Braves, and Atlanta Falcons on the Mad Mike Network. We almost right now, Georgia Sports Nation. All right, Georgia Sports Nation. Mikey, he does the Braves and the Hawks with Big Ant and the crew. This is something that, we almost got that monetized also. So we appreciate everybody, man. Bird Dolls, appreciate you joining in. Like I said, we're going to have a lot of stuff coming on. I want to start talking about some dogs, too, so don't be surprised y'all see some dog shorts in the feed. You Georgia Bulldogs fan. But like I said, Scotty, appreciate you joining Southside, all y'all. But head over now to the regulators on Atlanta Falcons Nation. The crew will be giving their take on AJ Terrell and whether or not the Atlanta Falcons are going to bring in the guy. And shout out to our brethren. His father is not feeling well. He's in the hospital. Shout out to the therapist, ATL. And like I said, y'all send some prayers out to him and his dad. So again, appreciate everybody for joining us. Head over to Atlanta Falcons Nation in about 4 minutes. They about to go live. So appreciate you guys. Notorious TBG. Y'all should have traded for Fields. All right, it's time for me to go. All right, thank you, TBG. All right, for joining us. But like I said, I'm out of here. Head over to Atlanta Falcons Nation so they can give their take on that. If you wanna, if you want to talk about, Justin Fields, you go over there and you ask them, because I'm not answering no Justin Fields questions. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, boy, man, Mike is here, man. Peace. Bye.